Good evening and welcome to Hold No Bars on this Friday evening, the Friday of September the 6th. A very important day for our family. It's now the 16th wedding anniversary of a particular couple that is close to us. So happy anniversary to them. And hot on the heels of that, within the next 1 hour and 23 minutes, it will be another significant day in the life of the family, the birthday of Mrs. Nadir. So happy birthday to you in advance, Maria. And the other couple, happy anniversary as you wind down the anniversary of your wedding. Today, 15 years ago, the studios of Channel 6 did burn down. That's when Metropole Cinema went up in flames. It only looks like if it was yesterday. And I can remember that evening coming home and then being called out about 2:40 in the morning that Metropole was on fire, and then subsequently the flames turned east, and from Metropole leaped over to Channel 6 and the residence of Mr. Sharma. So day in history today. Happy anniversary, sad fire, and then tomorrow another birth anniversary. But today, as we prepared for this evening's program, we saw in the news that Mr. Lowenfield has said that the earliest date for these elections will be the 23rd of March 2020. Yes, if you haven't heard it yet, 23rd of March 2020, Lowenfield is saying is the earliest date he can hold the election. Well, Mr. Lowenfield is full of that excrement that come out of a particular cavity and makes you sick. Every time he opens his mouth, you can see the filth coming out of Lowenfield's mouth. Lowenfield has no shame whatsoever. Who is Lowenfield? The Chief Elections Officer. A man who said he couldn't hold elections within the 3 months which our Constitution provides for. Lowenfield. And now that the CCJ had ruled on the 18th of June, Mr. Lowenfield is saying his earliest timeline is the 23rd of March 2020. And this is my problem with Lowenfield and those who he is taking instructions from. Now, isn't it a shame, Keith Lowenfield, that a year after you were supposed to get on with elections and informing President or dear beloved Granger of your capacity to hold elections within 3 months of a no confidence vote, a year after you are saying to this nation that that's when elections will be held or could be held, the earliest date? You know, we've always suspected Lowenfield to be strongly in bed with activities that are going to be very inimic to democracy. Lowenfield involved in activities that will in bondage the people of this country, will shackle us again. Lowenfield. So I'm having Kevin at this very moment boot up the timetable which Mr. Lowenfield has given to the Elections Commission, which they are now deliberating on towards this 23rd of March deadline. And to show how Lowenfield has stretched every single aspect of elections preparation to the outer limit. He's like if he's on the edge of the universe, to the outer limits, to stretch this thing out, hoping that he and his friends in government can secure another election victory for the coalition. We know that in 2015, appearing among the statements of poll were at least 25 fake statement of polls which found their way into the system. Whether they were counted as part of the legitimate statement opposed or not, a court has to decide that. And that matter is in court, not being heard yet. So now Lowenfield comes up with this timetable which says that he can't hold elections until the 23rd of March. So I'm going to be putting up this timetable which comes from the desk of the Chief Elections Officer. And I will go through this. So you're going to have to bear with me tonight for speaking a lot, because tonight again makes you angry. The custodians of the process of democracy, Lowenfield and the government of Guyana, has once again failed this young nation that is trying to build a democratic society. So, on Lowenfield's timetable, item 1, house-to-house registration 2019, he said he registered 373,000 persons in those 43 days, right? He wants 10 weekends to train election staff. So he's already started training them since August the 19th, he says, and this will end on the 20th of October. Now, many of these activities can run side by side. Just keep them up, Kevin. Just keep it up. Keep it up. Let's go through this because it's good for people to see this. So the second activity is training of election staff, which he says he wants 10 weekends. Now, these are people literally now who have gone on to the Elections Commission as full-time people. You want 10 weeks to train them. I find that hard. Closure of encoding transactions from house to house 2019, he wants 15 days. Now, this encoding, the Chief Justice has been quite clear. She says you can't take anybody off the list and you must cross-reference. I don't know where this issue of merger has come from. I know it is being ascribed to her worship Justice Claudette Singh when she says the list will be merged. But Justice Singh, please go back to the Chief Justice decision. It's written 40-odd pages, and you will see she said cross-referencing, not merging, cross-referencing. The existing database is the database that you can't touch. That is the database you can't take people off of, and you can only add. You add after you cross-reference. So viewers, listeners, this thing you are seeing before you is what Lowenfield has presented, right? Consolidate and validate transaction from house to house. He wants 6 days. Now, the whole house to house exercise, from my point of view, is illegal because the law provides for scrutineers to be present. The PPP had no scrutineers. Call it whatever you will, but for me, the entire data collected in this bogus house-to-house registration is illegal, can't be used. That's my view. Crop and dispatch fingerprints for cross-matching. He wants 3 days. Cropping means you're going to cut out the fingerprint from Manzoor Nadir on the existing database, and if Manzoor Nadir exists in the new list of registrants, then you crop that to see if it's, well, that's easy, computer can use it. Cross-match fingerprints, 14 days, right? But remember, all these things can happen side by side. Reconcile and conduct investigation of duplicates as a result of fingerprint matching. He wants 28 days. But these things can run concurrently. Yes, the matching and cross-referencing and the sorting out to duplicate could take a little while, but all of these activities could be reduced significantly by the application of more technology and people and under the scrutiny of all of the parties. Number 8, prepare and submit duplicate reports to the Elections Commission. He wants 7 days to prepare a duplicate, to prepare his reports in duplicate. 7 days? This is a thing now where you have to work round the clock because you have a timetable to hold elections by September the 18th. by September the 18th. But there is no urgency in this timetable from Lowenfield. No urgency whatsoever. There is no regard for the no confidence motion. There is no regard for the Constitution, and there is no regard for the ruling of Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire. Item 10 here, 99 is deceased, registrants identified. You can't register a deceased person. I know where that one come from one day. I don't know where that one come from. Because the only way you can take off people is through the GRA, right? And that GRA process is an easy dex exercise that can happen day in, day out. You don't need to wait till November the 9th for that. Commit transactions as approved by the commission one day. Well, you could do that and you don't have to wait so long either. Next page, Kevin, page 2. Page 2. Item 11. And here is where I have the biggest problem with Lowenfield. Item 11, page 2 of his draft report. And Kevin is saying he can't locate page 2 as yet. If you give me a couple of minutes, I can check back, ask Kevin to check once again that flash drive. If not, let me give him a new flash drive so that we can carry on with this exercise which Lowenfield is putting up in order to pull the wool over the eyes of Madam Justice Claudette Singh, right? And people have to help her, and we have an obligation. We have an obligation on this program, those of us who know better, to also educate her on how flawed this timetable which Lowenfield is giving, how flawed it is in terms of a timetable for credible elections in our country. So Kevin, if you bring back that flash drive, I have page 2 in this new flash drive, and then we can have page 3 also. So Kevin, I have a flash here with page 2 for you, and let me just get Kevin to connect page 2, and then we will get page 3 also. Let me put page 3 also on this one. So bear with us, because I have Kevin putting up this timetable which Lowenfield has put up for the elections. And he's saying March the 23rd. I'm saying tonight that what this plan does has exposed the hand of Keith Lowenfield. Certainly not fit and proper. Certainly it requires some amount of international pressure on Lowenfield, some amount of international observers coming here now to be in that elections commission so that other people can keep an eye on Lowenfield. Kevin, let's take a call or two as we go into the second page. Kevin, you got it? Kevin got it, he said. Great. So let Kevin run up now the second page of Lowenfield's draft timetable for holding elections. And what you will see shortly is item 11. It says conform new National Register of Registrants, 2 days. And this is the problem. There should be no new National Register of Registrants. Herein is Lowenfield's problem with the world. Here is Lowenfield's problem with all the people who want free and fair elections in Guyana. Here is Lowenfield's problem with all democratic-loving Guyanese. Item 11 there, you will see it. Conform new National Register of Registrants. This is an item, Lowenfield, Madam Justice Claudette Singh, which should never, ever appear in a timetable. It's total disregard for the Constitution, plus it's total disregard for the ruling of Chief Justice Roxanne George Wiltshire, because she said quite clearly, cross-reference what you have done with this registration as against the National Register of Registrants that exists. You cannot take anyone off. So why still Lowenfield in your timetable you have 2 days for a new National Register of Registrants? You can't have a new one. You can update the existing one. Production of ID cards, another, a blank in the timetable. Herein is a bigger problem. If you cross-reference and cross-match, and that could be done in a matter of 3 weeks, Lowenfield, Madam Justice Claudette Singh, in 3 weeks, you would not have 600,000 ID cards to produce. You would only have a few thousand ID cards to produce because people can use their existing cards. Extract, print, and post preliminary list of electors. He is giving himself until November the 18th. He can start doing that now. He can start doing that before September the 18th. 2 months we've already knocked off of Lowenfield's timetable. Next item, conduct claims and objections. 28 days. You know, this is the longest claims and objections period I have ever seen in recent history for the preparation for elections. 28 days. This is the longest period of a claims and objections period. He has inflated that by 2 more weeks. So we have 2 months and 2 weeks inflation already in this timetable. 2 months, 2 months, and 2 weeks inflation already, and we're only at December the 16th. So if you work backwards from December, November, October 10th, all that he's planning to do could be done right now by October the 10th. Then, number 15, he says, encode, consolidate transactions from claims and objections. He wants 35 days. Lowenfield, he's such a madman. And I don't think I could get the station in any kind of problems with the Guyana National Broadcasting Authority for calling someone who will put up this timetable as someone who has to have his faculties examined. I can't. 35 days? He is stretching everything to the outer limits of the universe. The outer limit. You want 35 days to encode the claims and objections based on the existing National Register, and the new cross-matching should not take more than 2 weeks. 3 months we've already saved. Treat with appeals as statutory required. Well, that statutory period has to be in there with the claims and objections period, right? That's 8 days. Then he goes cross-matching, fingerprints, he goes down, and then by the 23rd of January, then is when he wants to produce the revised list of electors. This guy has absolutely lost his faculties. This guy we have seen since the beginning of this year has some issues with holding proper elections. He has an issue with delaying, and he can only have that issue if he has some loose screws, or if he has loose screws plus taking orders from elsewhere. So by the 23rd of January, that's when he wants to produce the preliminary list, the revised list of electors. The preliminary list of electors he has a little bit earlier on, right? And then the appointment of the management staff. He's training these people, they'll be finished training by the 20th of October, but he will appoint the management staff between the 17th of January and the 23rd of January. You've trained them, you've examined them, you've sorted out the A's from the B's from the C's, you've sorted out the A pluses, and you still are going to make these appointments till the 17th of January. Kevin, next slide, please. Next slide, Kevin. Good. So using this genius's timetable, and now I'm going to call him a genius, and they always say there's a thin line between a genius and a person who has to get his or her faculty examined. Einstein, they say, was a genius. Many also said he didn't conform to what is norm. He used to walk around naked. He's thinking. He used to, introvert. So he must be a genius because he discovered the secret to the universe. We think Einstein was great. But at the same time, he didn't conform. But Lowenfield can't step into Einstein's shoes. Not with a timetable like this. So Lowenfield puts nomination day as the 28th of January. And here, the other big one. He wants 55 days from nomination day to hold elections. 55 days from nomination day to hold elections. So, what has been the experience in the past? If Kevin goes down to the bottom of the second page, and he just scrolls down to the bottom of the second page, he will see, let's go up a little bit, Kevin, a little bit more. If you can take that slide up a bit, Kevin. All right, see if you can get to the bottom of that page. There is some writing here, April 8, 2015, elections. See if you can just use your mouse and scroll down a bit. So I want to show you, Lowenfield now wants 55 days from nomination day to election day. And in the past, it has been just over 32 days. So he has added on an additional 23 days from the claims from the nomination day to the election day. He's inflated it by 23 days. The law may allow him for that. That's the outer limit. But on April the 8th, 2015, we had nomination for the May 11th general and regional elections. That was 33 days. That is April 8th, 2015 nomination day, and election day was May the 11th, 2015, 33 days after nomination. But Lowenfield wants 55 days. And then if we go back to the 2011 elections, nomination day was October the 27th, 2011, and election day was November 28th. I think that's about 32, 33 days also. But Lowenfield wants 55 days. So he's inflated the process of encoding all these extra hundreds of thousands of people that should just be cross-referenced and not encoded. Cross-referenced and not encoded. Some will say you need to encode to cross-reference. Some Manzoor talking nonsense. But it depends. You can encode certain information to cross-reference. But if you want every single aspect to be in the database, that's a different story. We don't need that, is my thesis. Because the Chief Justice said cross-reference. If you put all those CAPE students in a room and give them bundles of 100 names to cross-reference, and you got 600,000 names on our existing database and 373,000 names to cross-reference, and you give them in clumps, and you have the party scrutinized, you can easily do that exercise in less than 3 or 4 weeks from now. So Lowenfield has inflated this timetable by a minimum of 5 months. A minimum of 5 months. And I've proven that by going through all of the timetable and the historical lag between nomination day and election day. The norm is 32, 33. He wants 55. He has introduced a new National Register of Registrants. He has introduced the manufacture of over 600,000 new ID cards, all unnecessary. Why? Why, Mr. Lowenfield, you're punishing this nation like this? Because remember, the Elections Commission has to inform our dear, beloved, His Excellency, David Granger, our president. He has to inform. Well, I should say the Elections Commission has to inform President Granger. The GCOM, the 331 Commission, is informed by the Chief Elections Officer. And this is the nonsense which the Chief Elections Officer has now put for a week at the feet, at the hands, and on the desk of GCOM. Now, Madam Claudette Singh needs a lot of help. She needs a lot of help, because if this is what our Chief Elections Officer is going to be putting up as the timetable, inflated by doubling the time, something has to be mentally wrong. Something has to be not right. Something has to be, as some people will say, not halal, haram, not kosher. Ladies and gentlemen, I now lay the case. What is going to have to happen? I leave that answer to you as we take these slides off the screen and we open our lines tonight. Hold no bars. I've just presented the Lowenfield timetable for holding elections. You may not have seen as yet the release that he says, or GCOM says, the earliest to hold election is the 23rd of March. I have given you the official document which Lowenfield has presented to the Commission. I now open the lines to you, and we are going to deal with this. It's not all lost. Lowenfield and your friends who want to do whatever they want with these elections to perpetuate an undemocratic regime on our nation, time is longer than twine. Time is long. I can't see the new generation of Guyanese, I can't see them continuing to be fearful of the tyranny which we have seen before by this administration. This program is hold no bars. I say it as I see it, and you get an opportunity to call it as you see it. I give you a chance to talk. Hold no bars. Say it as you see it. Hi, good evening. You're on the air. Go ahead. You're on the air. Go ahead. Okay. So that caller probably was a little bit too long in waiting, and we missed him. Hold no bars. That's a timetable. We all see what is afoot. We have to put our efforts united towards thwarting all of these schemes that are being perpetuated to perpetuate a particular undemocratic system on our people. Hi, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, Nadia. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
You're in a Lowenfield, right?
Yeah.
That man there, when you think you punish Kuli people, you punish black man, you punish more than Kuli people.
Well, let me talk about generalities here. Every Guyanese will punish, right? This is not about Indian or black or Portuguese, Chinese, Amerindians, Europeans, right? So we don't want to, this is perpetuating a regime, an undemocratic regime in office. Good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening.
So this has nothing to do with race. If it was one race in the country and Lowenfield in there, he'd have been choosing the size of one set of people. Right? Good? I don't know if he feels that whatever he's accumulating in terms of deeds or other that will take him past the pearly gates. Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Good night, Mr. Nadir.
Good evening.
Two things, man.
Tell me.
One, if Mr. Lowenfield is not working in the best interest of the nation,
Mm-hmm.
then I am saying that he should be removed.
I agree with you.
Two,
And
they're talking about reparation money and ancestral land.
mm-hmm.
Now, I am saying...
I ain't talking about it tonight. I'm talking about this timetable from Lowenfield, right? Let's deal with ancestral lands and forced people lands, because it's not only one set of people that claim to lands. Before the Amerindians got claim to plenty lands. And this is Indigenous Month, Amerindian Heritage Month. September is Amerindian Heritage Month, right? So let's keep this one to Lowenfield in this election timetable. because we have to keep the pressure up. We can't let up. Good? So, yes, Mr. Lowenfield, this is his way of once again manipulating. And he's going to be aided and abetted by the commissioners from the government side. You're on the air. Hold no bars.
Hi, good night, Mr. Neil.
Good evening.
First issue was on the Act first.
Yes, tell me.
What would have happened if the PPP was the government and they was doing this? What would have happened?
More fire, slow fire.
Oh, but we won't have charge from anymore.
Well, I want to believe the worst. Okay? I want to believe the worst. Thank you. So yes, I want to believe the worst. The Lowenfield, this is shameful, man. Shameful, right? Yes, a couple of messages coming through here. Let me just lost that page. But one can understand the anger that the nation is feeling at this time. November budget normally comes to the House. You have a caretaker government signing all kinds of deals, and now will want to bring a November budget. Bart has said it plain. He is not going to go to Parliament and perpetuate any illegal regime in this country. All right? President Jagdeo has made it absolutely clear, and I totally support him in this regard. You have a caretaker government, people shouldn't be giving away the wealth of this country. Hi, good evening, you're on the air.
Oh, hi, Mr. Nadir.
Hi, hey, how are you doing? You made it early on today, man.
I'm sorry?
I said you made it early on this evening.
Well, we had power failure. It just came back on, so I don't know what I missed.
Oh
But
gosh, you
I
missed
heard
a
about
lot.
Lowenfield, and I said long ago that he needs to go.
Okay, let me just, one person is saying the volume of the callers is low. I don't know if Kevin, you can monitor that, but I know we had a problem with one of the mic. And so many times I use the mic above my head. So go ahead.
Yes, Lowenfield needs to go, and President Granger needs to realize this is not the Congo. We are not going to have here in Guyana what people in Africa have been facing, the different nations.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I read an article also, Lincoln Lewis.
Mm-hmm.
He needs to realize it's not Bart Jagdeo that brought this country to its knees.
Thank you very much.
It's not Bart Jagdeo that gave away our wealth to strangers.
And keep giving it away.
Yes, it's not stopping.
Mm-hmm.
And the reporters, I don't understand. President Granger is breaking the law, and Mr. Jagdeo cannot miss a beat there down his throat.
Right. In fact, someone was just saying that this evening to me.
What is one-sided business? They're in the wrong line of work. If you cannot be a true reporter, you're in the wrong business.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay, so what you'd missed was the timetable that Lowenfield put up that puts the election to the 23rd of March, a year after it is due, according to the Constitution, a year, right? And that timetable he is inflated by almost 5 months. And what I did earlier, for those who didn't see the first part of the program, I put up the timetable. So what maybe, Kevin, we'll try and do the last 5 minutes. I will recap by putting up the timetable that Lowenfield put up, which is full of, you know what, I used excrement at one time. So this one person is saying the volume of the calls, the volume is low, and we the viewers can't hear the caller's concerns. So we're gonna try, sometimes when you hear this ring, it's me trying to turn up the volume because yes, sometimes it's low, right? So sorry about that. We have to work on that aspect of the broadcast. Good? Yes, so I raised this issue because tomorrow morning you will see the headlines talking about March the 23rd, 2020, the earliest date for elections, according to the Lowenfield timetable. And what I have put up is that timetable, and I've shown that it's been inflated by almost 5 months. The period, first of all, between nomination day and election day is usually between 30 and 35 days. Lowenfield wants 55 days for that now. He wants 55 days. And then we have the whole issue of this new set of data collected by the house-to-house registration. He wants almost 2.5 months to do so what is supposed to be cross-referencing. He wants to replace the existing National Register of Registrants with a new database, which is a merged database. So if you put 373,000 and 565,000, you're going to get 900,000, 200,000 more than we have in the country. And then they're not concerned about bloated lists. So you can understand why he wants to do that. We'll have a voters list of 650,000 people. And it means that in every polling station, you will have 200 extra ballot boxes for people to do what they want, marking up and stuffing inside, which we have known them to do in the past. So then we have a serious problem here in our country, and it's developing, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. I know you want to hear more, but the answer to this, thwarting all of this, has to be in our combined action. In our combined action, that the craziness, the nonsense that Lowenfield and his supporters and his support from wherever it's coming from that's giving him this power, that has to stop. One person it's in the hands of. And that one person is Madam Justice Claudette Singh. And we wait on her to make her ruling, because this timetable is shameful, Mr. Lowenfield. Extremely shameful. We can understand why you want to do it, but we can't stand it. And so we're going to have to vigorously oppose it. Vigorously oppose it. Yes, so the lines are going to be open again, and I hope you can hear me good
yes,
out there.
I can hear you. Mr. Nadir, how are you tonight?
Not too bad, a little bit
What
angry.
I want to say, this government is self-serving. Mr. Lowenfield and others, it's all about them, and they don't really care about the Guyanese people. They don't care about, it's a very uncaring government. I don't know if they don't think about the things, their actions. If I think their actions is going to cause them to win the election, it's not going to cause them to win the election. I don't know if they're not thinking about that. And if you have a no confidence motion, and it has defeated its purpose, and they're not observing the law, so do they expect others to observe the law? Thank you.
Thank you. Clear and concise. Clear and concise. Thank you very much for that contribution. Yes, we wait for the next caller. It's now 11:15. We have 15 minutes. Kevin and I were trying to get this Lowenfield spreadsheet that he put up for the elections transferred from my computer. In fact, it was in a format that took us a little while to move around with. Anyway, he got it done, and that's why we were able to post that on the screen. We are going to repeat that just about 5 minutes before the end of the program. Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Hi, good evening. I think Guyana is headed for a hurricane, and we will need help from the ABC country and maybe CARICOM. We will need aid.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, because there is nowhere else we're going but a hurricane.
Yeah, and that number is coming up. Its name, L is coming up, Lowenfield. Hurricane Lowenfield. Good, thanks. Great. Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Mr. Nadir.
Go ahead.
Good night.
Good evening.
I got the dictionary again in front of me. I got the word named graph. It got 3 meanings. One of the meanings is bribery and other illegal methods used to gain advantage in politics or business. Since Mr. Lowenfield was identified as receiving lands and other things from this government, that should have raised red flags as to his allegiance and other favorable methods for giving them the thing. Anyway, I will read something for you. The Constitution is a structure of law for the executive to comply with. And if there is no mechanism to enforce compliance in the event of transgression, then perhaps we will end up with a group of elitists who will appoint themselves to govern and impose a state of elitism that will rule the uncivilized masses, whether they like it or not. Something we will end up with is like something we call a de facto government. They will impose themselves on the nation regardless of who likes it or not. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks again for your usual, very informed contributions to Hold No Bars. And keep it up. And this is one of our regular contributors. I probably have to bring him on as a co-host to calm me down sometime. But tonight is an angry night, having read that. Tonight's supposed to be a calm night for me. My daughter and son-in-law's 16th wedding anniversary, in a matter of another 42 minutes, my wife celebrates her birthday. But then you get greeted with the news like this. How can I sit here this evening and say that in the hands of the present administration, there is at least some modicum of hope that we can have a good country? How can I? Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Hi. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Nadir.
Good evening, sir.
Why is it that we have people like Lowenfield working in the GCOM? We are supposed to have people there working that doesn't support parties or anything, that's supposed to do the work that the Constitution put them there to do. They're not supposed to take side. I don't understand what's going on in this country. And we have a chairman that elect there. I don't know she's who.
Well, she just received this document, I think, on Tuesday, because they would have had a statutory meeting of the Ghana Elections Commission last Tuesday. So I want to believe that she only got this document Tuesday. I had a handle on it, but I didn't want to say anything because this was a matter before the commission. But tonight, a release came out on Demerara Wave. And so I think it's fair game for me to release also. Good?
Yeah, but she's not coming up with nothing definitive.
Well, I know they would have met yesterday or today and also on Tuesday. So as a judge, one would expect she's going to hear the evidence produced by all sides.
Yes,
And I wanted to do this tonight, and I know information gets back and would get back to her to show that a lot of the garbage she has in this could be weeded out. We have garbage pickers right down the road from me here at Hogbush. You know, we have, I think, registered 122 they call them pickers, right? Who to sort out the good from the bad. You know, no, I'm not being facetious here. But here, I already picked through this timeline, and I showed that normally it's between 30 and 35 days from nomination to election. He wants 55 days.
Yes, that's what he's been doing all the time.
And this crap that he's talking about, new National Register of Registrants, is totally against the Constitution plus.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another 2.5 months which he has imposed on the system, right?
Yeah, but I don't know how he's working there. What is his motive?
Well, we have to be informed, Madam Justice Claudette Singh, and I'm hopeful that these things will be brought to our attention.
Yeah, she being a judge, you know, she's supposed to be a partial person.
Well, that's why we have to produce our evidence, and that's why I don't mind going public tonight with it, right? Because he put it out there to sensitize his people, to let them say, well, the man don't say he can't hold elections. He is not God.
He's not working with the Constitution.
Right.
He's working against the Constitution.
Chief Air, I really get angry tonight, right? Calm it down a little bit. Go ahead. I can stop talk, you talk.
Yeah, but these people are not following the Constitution of Guyana. When you take an oath of office in this country, you're supposed to hold the book and say that you uphold the Constitution of Guyana. But they are not doing that. Right? So, what Constitution are they following?
Thank you very much. I'll open the lines for another caller. Hi. Okay, so I'll take about 2 callers more, then I want to go back and put up for those who may have missed the Lowenfield trash that he presented to the commission. And whoever buys into it, we know all they could be are cockroaches, right? We know what lives on garbage heaps, right? Good. Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Mr. Nadir,
Tell me.
I think the PPP needs to go and compile a register of their own, just like how the PNC compile a register and imposing it on GCOM. You all have to go compile a register now of your own and compel the chair of that margin.
Yeah, the only problem with that is that we don't have any law backing us to do that, and then we become just like them. So we can't do that, right? So we go to, it says, good evening, Mr. Nadir. Thanks for the information shared. Did you say that you're celebrating an anniversary? No. My daughter and son-in-law is celebrating today, and the wife is celebrating birth anniversary tomorrow, right? Yes. So, but come on, man. It was at a very peaceful, nice, a little gathering of some friends, good friends, and then I saw this news, and I had the full data, and I said, look, let me cut short my social outing with the dear mistress, and then come and put up this information tonight, right? So we could take 2 callers before I now put on screen back this timetable which Lowenfield has given to the Elections Commission as his work program to hold elections. He has. So let me look for the callers. I'll give another 30 seconds. If the callers don't come through, Kevin will put up back the first slide, and then the second page, and then the third page, and I will repeat what I said at the beginning of the program, right? Good. So those of you who are interested, who joined late, who may have had blackout, and GPL says they are short of 23 megawatts of generation, and it will take some time to put that back in place. Demerara, Berbice are interconnected. Hi, good evening. You're on the air. Go ahead. You're on the air.
Hello?
Okay, I have somebody on the cell phone now. Hi, good evening. You're on the air.
Yeah.
Go ahead. You're on the air.
Yeah, this law is still at the GCOM. This is still at the GCOM there. You should be gone looking in the country.
I can't hear that caller properly. The volume was a little bit too low, and then I think his TV was up a bit. So we have a minute. I might be able to take 1 caller more before. I know we weren't able to take a lot of callers tonight because 2 things. This information I had to share and I had to explain, and then the second issue, I got a bit angry tonight and spoke a bit too much. But you know, you gotta be angry, having sat through the 60s, you know, sitting in a cinema that they threw a bomb in, right? Then you had to go through the Burnham regime. You saw all this all over again, and now you come to the 21st century when we now have internet. We got, look, tonight, as I was preparing for this program, I got a little, someone sent me something. The Canadians have advertised for children from grade 6 to grade 9, which is like grade 6 to 3rd form, to apply to be junior astronauts, and they will train them for 1 week in some part of Canada, going through and preparing a generation for movement beyond our atmosphere. I saw another post earlier this week where at a particular school, every day you get update on your child's performance. Every single day you get pictures of your child in class, and you get teachers' report on your child. That's today. And we still can't hold an elections after a year. Kevin, hit the first slide for me, please. Okay, folks, so I'm going back through this first slide, right? And this slide pertains to a timetable which Mr. Lowenfield has given to the Guyana Elections Commission, which timetable says the earliest date for elections is March the 23rd, 2020. Now, the only reason I put this up is because on one news website today, late this evening at that, we heard a release which attributes that deadline of March 23rd to GCOM. And I'm saying this timetable which he is putting up for March 23rd is inflated by at least 5 months. And so here you have the timetable, big in the timetable and skewing the timetable in favor of delays is this house-to-house registration, right? And if you go to the second slide, Kevin, go to the second slide. At item 11, they want a new National Register of Registrants, that's at the top of the page, which is against what the Chief Justice says and against what the Constitution provides for. The Chief Justice says you can take what you collect and cross-reference, that you can use the house-to-house that was done as a form of verification, not to create any new Register of Registrants. And that process he has will take at least until the 18th of November, 2 months after this election should have been held since June the 18th. 2 months to produce his preliminary list of electors. Normally, we would give 28 days for claims and objections. Item 14, that's what he has there. Normally, it's about 10 days for claims and objections, right? So you see where the inflation is starting to come. And then you can come down a bit to the next page, right? And he says nomination day could be as late as the 28th of January. And he needs 55 days between nomination and the holding of elections. Well, in the past, it's between 30 to 35 days. April the 8th, 2015 was nomination. For the May 11, 2015 general elections, that was about 33 days. January 21 was when Mr. Ramatar announced, President Ramatar announced the election. It took 3 months and 3 weeks to hold the elections. October 27, 2011 was when we had nomination day for the 2011 elections. Election was the 28th of November, 32 days between. So even the period between nomination and the holding of elections, he has inflated by 23 days. And this is the man who says he has Guyana at heart, Mr. Lowenfield. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of tonight's program. Tomorrow, you're going to see the headlines in the newspapers. Lowenfield says March 23rd for the elections, earliest date. Tonight, all of you who were part of this program, you have that timetable and you can now pick it to pieces. I say it has 5 months of inflation in it. 5 months of inflation. We can have these elections very shortly if Lowenfield is serious and if Justice Claudette Singh goes by the evidence before her. Thank you very much on behalf of Kevin, our directors, on my own behalf, and you have a great night. Happy birthday, Maria. Happy anniversary, Marcia and Mahenda.